A quick note on today's episode. Breed contains some scenes of animal discomfort and cruelty that may be upsetting to some and may not be suitable for younger listeners. Today the fog rolled into my camp, so cold and wet my clothes were sticking to me, my teeth were chattering. That's when I saw one of them, moving through it like it was a cloak. Walked right up to me, and I was too cold, too frightened to do anything about it. It hissed at the air between us, swiping at the thick air with its long claws, those dead eyes like the sharks of the old stories. I couldn't do anything. When it left, carried away on the rolling tide of thick grey, I just sat there, weeping. All this time I thought I was going to fix the world, reading out these stories. How painfully naive. Still, I might as well carry on, why not? I can't fathom what's happened here. All these stories are in different hands. They're all written like tales, not history. And yet, once more, I found the cabin in this tale. Found what waited in its basement. How can that be? Breed. He kneels in the dirt and the moss and the leaves of the forest floor. This is his happy place, his nirvana. To be in his own company, away from everyone else and their prying eyes. When he's truly alone like this, he could be himself. When it's just him, there's no name, no Harry, no worries about being caught. There's just him and the urge and the voice. That's all he needs. He pulls a knife from his school bag, the blue Bleakwood High School logo stitched onto the front panel. Testing the point against his thumb, he smiles. This is the moment he's waited for all day. Beneath one of his knees, the squirrel squirms, but it's pinned in such a way it can't escape or bite him. This situation is the culmination of weeks' worth of bribery and training to get the squirrel to trust him to the point he can touch it. Now the rodent's realised its mistake, there's nothing it can do. Harry owns it. The rest is inevitable. He grips the knife tightly in his hand, fingertips tightening on pocked rubber handle. It's designed not to slip and he knows it won't. He's yet to lose his nerve no matter what the prey is. Harry slides the tip of the knife into the base of the squirrel's neck and sighs with relief as he does so. Everything falls silent as the squirrel goes limp. Every voice in his head stops talking. It's as though his heart stops beating and he doesn't need to breathe anymore. This is the high that he craves so often. He tilts his head back, gasping air into his lungs to steady his vision. Calm again, he removes the squirrel's skin with a series of swift, certain cuts. He discards the skin and stands up. Using the roll of grotty toilet paper he stole from the school and a bottle of Evian, he cleans his hands. He checks and double-checks his white school shirt and blue striped tie for blotches of squirrel blood. Practice makes perfect. He's clean. He dumps the toilet paper in the hollow of a tree. A job well done. Packing everything away into his bag, he pauses, tilts his head. There's a noise somewhere over to his left. Twigs cracking. Leaves skittering along the ground. He turns round. Another squirrel stares at him from its position halfway up a nearby oak tree. Harry smiles. Maybe another time. He'd prefer something bigger, but beggars can't be choosers. As he makes his way towards the path that leads out of the forest, he reaches down and scratches at the knee of his trousers. Shit. His voice is too loud in the silent wood, a human affront to the serenity of nature. Mud cakes the knees of his trousers. His mum's going to kill him. The boy sneaks in as Andrea stands at the stove frying bacon. Even over the hissing fat and low hum of the ineffective kitchen fan, she can hear him. You don't live in a house with a boy like Harry without forever being on your toes. Not that he's the first she's had to deal with. His older brothers, now sadly left home, used to send a prickle of electric up the nape of her neck too. She turns away from the pan as he enters the kitchen and forces on her most mothering smile. He stands in front of her, this boy that came from her body, but could almost be an alien to her. He's flushed as though he's run home. His school uniform is immaculate from the waist up, and then she sees his trousers. "Mum, I'm really sorry. I just slipped playing football at school." There's no remorse in his voice, and even less in his face. She looks at those dark grey eyes that she loves so much. In the right light, or should that be the wrong light, they look jet black. Somehow the eyes of his father, rather than hers, are another reminder of that man and his weaknesses. "It's okay," she says. "These things happen. I'll turn away, take them off and leave them there. Go and get changed. Tea will be ready soon." "What are we having?" "What do you think? Squirrel pie?" He flinches at this. "Bacon omelette. Now go on." She shoos at him and turns back to the pan, pouring the whipped eggs into the sizzling pan. When she turns back, a pair of muddy trousers lie on the tiled floor. She snatches them up, checks the pockets are empty and inspects them before she throws them into the washing machine at the far end of the room. He's getting better at it. Today it's only mud. This time last year he'd come home caked in blood from Christ knows what. He's been practicing, maybe too much. This is a pattern she's seen before, from father to son, the need among them all. She sees it in the eyes of other children, those she passes on the street or when she drops Harry off in the morning. It lies there, dormant, on the extremities of their expressions, but not with any of her sons. With them it lies front and centre, unavoidable. She steps out of the kitchen and stands at the bottom of the stairs, head cocked. His movements are silent. Years of him knowing she's listening and watching have taken their toll on his behaviour. He treads lightly everywhere he goes. Nothing he ever does makes a sound. She's lost count of the time she's turned round and found him standing in the same room as her, watching her. She doesn't let that happen anymore. It's the same as it was with all the others, the father too. This urge, this instinct. She's seen it all before. There are days when she sits alone in the shop where she works, unable to believe that she's made it this far, lived this long, knowing the men she does and the things they do. Sometimes customers come and interrupt her, other times they don't. This feeling she gets, this survival instinct, underpins all her interactions with other people. Harry is always on her mind. As if reading her thoughts, he steps from his room and onto the landing, his eyes finding hers as though he knows she'd been standing there all along. He's washed his face and hands. Moisture glitters on the skin around his eyes. "Ah, there you are. Tea's ready." Some of the kids at school are afraid of him. They don't say anything, but he knows. It's obvious. He sees the almost imperceptible flinching when he walks by them. Not every sea creature hides when a shark swims by, but there's always a tension that at any moment that pointed violent head could swing in their direction and its teeth will find their flesh. Maybe that's how they feel about him. At 13, none of them could articulate why they're nervous around him, but there's an instinct there, deep inside Harry, that knows the truth. He walks out of school at the final bell, following the herd of kids through the gates and round the corner towards the shops. One of them, Richardson, no one uses his first name, asks Harry if he's coming for a kickabout in the park later. "Maybe," Harry tells him, but there's somewhere else he needs to be first. He dips down a ginnel between rows of terraced houses, the old Victorian buildings screening him from the other kids and their noise. Back here in the spaces between the bins and the back gardens, it's quieter and darker. It's riskier being down here. The windows looking down on him are mostly bathroom windows, misted or patterned to make them opaque. At the end of one of the rows he stops, carefully places his school rucksack on the cleanest weenie bin he can find. Standing on the abandoned plastic beer crate, he peers over the wall, careful to keep his head concealed behind the gatepost. The old woman totters around her garden, treading carefully over the paving slabs that jut upward over each other, trip hazards every couple of feet. She carries an iron watering can in both hands and stops periodically to water an array of potted plants. Some of them let their green foliage fall over the sides of their pots, others stand up straight and brown, desperate for a drink. As she walks, the old lady shakes and twitches like a skip on a DVD. Her head nods and wobbles on her slender neck. Harry bites his lip. She's perfect. He needs to try something bigger than a squirrel first, just to be sure. But this lady is the one. Something inside him whispers confirmation. He knows it. He just needs to come up with a plan. It won't be a problem once the details are sorted. He hops down from the beer crate and nearly stands on the ginger tabby cat that's mewling around the bins. In his focus on the woman, he'd nearly looked a gift horse in the mouth. He crouches down in the paved alleyway, careful not to get any of the green moss that covers every surface on his uniform. The cat steps forward towards Harry's outstretched hand, its nose flaring as it takes in the scent of him. Then it inclines his head and rubs the side of its face against his skin. He's heard of this before. Cats secrete hormones onto people they like or trust. Harry smiles. This is the break he needed. Practice makes perfect after all. The Stanley knife in his blazer pocket is cool to his touch. Being caught with it in school would get him expelled, but it helps him having it close to hand. Brings him a sense of calm he can't get anywhere else. The rutted metal is solid in his grip, reassuring him that everything will soon be okay. He strokes the cat with his left hand, the knife gripped in his right. As it looks up to him, he sees the name on his tag, Jingles. Any remorse he might have felt about what he's about to do dissipates as he holds in a giggle. The shink of the blade popping out brings a tingle down the base of his back. In his left hand, the cat begins to twist in his grip, its head twisting round as it attempts to break free, to pull its collar out of his hand. The cat realizes its mistake. It's too late now. It yowls and shrieks as he pinches his fingers into its skin. With a hiss, it hacks at his hands with his claws, drawing blood in thin scarlet lines. He bites his lip against the pain and brings the knife around, ready to slit the cat's throat or belly, whichever he feels like first. Oi, you! Harry freezes, and the cat takes his charge, slashing him across the wrist and racing for freedom down the ginnel. He watches it go, dimly aware of running footprints. By the time he gets his senses together, the man's nearly on him. Snatching up his school bag, he pelts down the alleyway, the man reaching for him and missing. Get back here, or I'll phone the police, the man pants. Harry doesn't stop. He races back onto the main road and around the corner towards home. Looking back, he sees the man stop and take a picture on his phone. There's nothing for it but to run, to get home as soon as he can, and to regroup. Lydia listens to the head teacher talk, the man's words doing nothing but numbing her. There's something she hopes is concern in the man's eyes. There won't be an expulsion this time, but perhaps it would be best if Harry stayed at home for the rest of the week. Apparently, school can help with some counselling. Not that it'll be anything other than a sticking plaster on an amputated leg for her son's mental well-being. She offers nothing to the conversation, just waiting for it all to be over so she can go home and get on with the work that must now be done. Something she's been putting off. She's not as clinical as she used to be. The signs have been screaming into her face for a while now. It's not that she cares for Harry more than the others, it's just that it's all so much work, so much effort. She's already tired to the bone. She drives home from the school and walks into the house, straight into the kitchen where she starts making their evening meal, spaghetti bolognese, Harry's favourite. He doesn't come out of his room until she calls him down for tea. At the table, they don't talk about the incident. They don't talk at all. Harry gobbles down his tea like the growing, ravenous murderer he soon will be. Lydia picks at her, adding more seasoning, but finding herself unable to taste anything at all. She cleans away the pots after the meal and cleans the kitchen. By the time she comes back into the living room, Harry has already passed out. It's time for her to begin. It's a route she knows by heart, one she's taken more times than she cares to remember, although every detail is still there, soldered into the circuitry of her mind. She doesn't need a sat-nav to get there, as she's left her phone at home, just in case. Always the same routine. Harry slumbers across the back seats as they come off the motorway and twist and turn down country lanes. Darkness shrouds them this far out into the country, the quality of the roads decreasing the further they get from civilization. Finally, they arrive. She gets out of the car and stretches her back. The headlights illuminate the farmhouse. The only thing her family ever owned of significance. It's worthless now, the land around it the only thing that brings value. Every year it's worth a few grand more, and she gets tempted to pull the trigger on the sale, but she'll never sell the house. Not that. She pulls Harry from the back seat. He slumps onto the ground and she half drags, half carries his unconscious form up to the door. She lets them in, the house somehow colder than the air outside. It's the same route as last time, down the hallway, back to the left, under the stairs. She unlocks the 3 locks on the door and it swings open. A gaping maw of pure black. Then the stench comes billowing out, so thick it could be smoke, could be visible. Bile catches on Lydia's tonsils and she coughs it back down. She's grateful for the lack of power, the minimal illumination from her torch bringing only glimpses of the others. She drags Harry with her, the wooden skeleton of the stairs cracking out a complaint. She breathes through her mouth, fighting the stench. It's been years since she opened this door, entered this room, did what she's about to do. There's 3 of them down here, all potential killers, each one of them with a rotten mind and soul, all of them with the same proclivities as Harry. Animals, building up to terrorizing women and children, no doubt in her mind. It started with her husband, the way he handled her, all fists and sharp words. She saw the signs in him, and she dealt with it the only way she knew how. That one, Ian, nearly broke her as she left him behind in this basement to die alone. The drive back to Bleakwood knowing there were 3 young children in bed waiting for her. 3 young children who in all likelihood would turn out just the same as their father. Cunning, dangerous, ungrateful. Over time they'd proven they needed dealing with too. Handling. Neither of the older boys made it past their 14th birthday. A procession of dead animals and harassed neighbours led to 2 more long drives out to this old family property. More whispers on the school run. More questions and excuses. He's gone to join his dad in Australia. Lies became like breathing, a natural process that required no thought. She'd been hopeful for Harry, always the best looking of the boys, always the smartest. When she'd held him in her arms at the hospital, squalling and bloody, he'd looked so different to the others. Less of their father and more of her. But the fruit can rot from the inside out, and now here she is, her unconscious baby boy in her arms. She places him on the basement's 3rd floor. Dust kicks up in the torchlight, which mercifully doesn't illuminate what remains of her brood. There's no temptation in her to look around at the detritus of her history. No need to check out what she's done. It's always there in the back of her mind, weighing on every day she continues. The physical evidence can't be worse than what lingers in her dreams. Lydia kisses Harry's forehead, surveys her son lying there in the torchlight, still in his school uniform. She parts his tousled hair from the left side, just like she did when he was a toddler, before he came to know his own mind and the dark recesses it held. She doesn't let herself cry. Maybe that will happen on the long drive home. Something to punctuate the series of excuses and alibis she'll need, especially now the school have taken notice. She gets up, finding her way to the stairs, the torchlight showing the intricate spiderwebs dangling from the banister. She doesn't touch it as her feet find the lowest step. There's a noise behind her. She wheels round, swinging the torch in a mad arc that illuminates a heap of greyed bones in one corner, before revealing Harry's face, barely a foot from her own. He's expressionless, not even squinting as the torch lights him from the chest up. Lydia goes to speak, but there's a wrench in her gut. A sharp pain. Guilt, she wonders, until she brings her hand away from her stomach, drenched to deep crimson in the torchlight. Warm blood running down her dirty hand onto her wrist. He stabs her again, and she sinks to her knees as he runs past her. She follows him with her gaze and the torch, illuminating the gate of his steps as he makes his way to the door at the top. The door. She scrambles forward, dragging herself bent and folded up the stairs, every corner and edge digging into her wounds, one hand before the other pulling and scraping, fingers taking the strain. The torchlight finds Harry at the open door, mostly silhouette, but she can still make out his eyes, those beautiful eyes she used to gaze at for hours when he was a baby. The lack of compassion in them now, the lack of recognition. "Please, Harry, I was wrong. I thought this was best." He doesn't reply. "Son, don't do this." In lieu of words, he swings the door shut with her barely halfway up the wooden stairs. She scrambles to her feet, panic removing all pain from her for just a moment. One bolt slides across, then another, then a third, the 3 notes condemning her to the darkness, leaving her alone with her own legacy, reaping what she's sown all these years. She hammers the door, fist pounding, voice straining, throat raw, her knees aching as they thud against the wooden floor. The door is shut fast. Her only hope is her son, her sweet boy. She mutters his name over and over, mingling apologies into sentences until they only make sense to her. In the darkness, she hears him walk away. He walks past the car and out onto the country track. Blood cakes one sleeve of his school blazer. A tickle from the wind chills it and tugs at his hair. He wraps his arms around himself and starts to walk. Apart from the moon, there is no light. Nothing to see for miles. He's no idea of where to go, who to speak to, what he'll find. He smiles as he walks. A spontaneous, unstoppable grin spreads across his face. He's done it. He's graduated. Ideally, it wouldn't have been his mother first, but in a way, he supposes it was inevitable. And she gave him the perfect excuse. Self-defense. He'll make sure he doesn't find help for a good while, just to be certain. Perhaps get himself cleaned up, make up a story, how his mother ran away to Australia maybe, how she couldn't take it anymore. Then it'll be a fresh start, a new home. Maybe a nice couple will adopt him, take care of him, grow to love him. Let their guard down. Soon, the games can begin again. Breed was written by Dan Howarth and read by Paul Stephenson. Dan Howarth is a writer from the north of England. His short stories have featured in Weird Horror magazine and the Other Stories podcast, among others. His collection, Dark Missives, will take you on a tour of the roads less travelled in northern England to explore what truly lies in the shadows. His new novella, Territory, is set in a remote Finnish hunting community where darkness and the cold hold the villagers close. As a pack of wolves threaten the village's future, grief-stricken hunter Jari must unite the population to reclaim their territory. Find out more at danhowarthwriter.com. If you're enjoying Bleakwood so far, do tell your friends, share it on social media, or rate it wherever you're listening. If you want more stories from me, head to paulstephensonbooks.com, where you can pick up the first books in my Blood on the Motorway and Sunset Chronicle series for free in ebook. Bleakwood is a Hollow Stone Press production. Find out more at bleakwoodpod.com. Join us next time for more tales from Bleakwood.